The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. Ghana is in crisis. Ghana is in crisis as a result of a decision made by the leader of Burkina Faso, all the savior, the protector, the unifier, the messiah, the king of kings, the most loved, Captain Ibrahim Traore. Ever since we gained our independence, we have been sitting here protecting a system that makes us poorer, that makes us dependent, yet we love and cherish the system. And whenever you hear us boast, we boast of nothing, but we have peace, we have democracy, we have maintained it from one republic to the other, and there hasn't been any interference. The global stage, we are praised that Ghana is a peaceful nation. But why is Ghana crying today? Why are these women crying? Because Captain Ibrahim Traore has banned these women from entering into Burkina Faso to buy tomato, because Captain Ibrahim Traore said he wants to use this tomato to feed the factories, and he don't want to be exporting these tomatoes in their raw form, but he wants to turn these tomatoes into finished goods. We saw when the tomato factory was built, Ghana was sitting here. What were we expecting? That after that, Burkina Faso will still give us the fresh tomato without feeding their industries? Because Captain Ibrahim Traore said he wants to protect the local industries. He wants to empower the people. And this was the motive behind the tractors that we saw them purchasing, while our leaders were moving from one place to the other, boasting of how we have been able to maintain democracy. And at the end of the day, we expect that people that are landlocked will farm and export tomato to us. It's amazing.
Burkina Faso to indefinitely ban the export of fresh tomatoes to ensure supply to its national processing units. Now, this ban, announced in a joint communique dated March 16, 2026, was signed by the Ministry of Industry, Commerce and Artisan and the Ministry of State for Agriculture, Water, Animal and Fisheries Resources. Now, I want to show you a bit more from that statement, which is, a lot more than just a ban on this. There is also an ultimatum, Mawena.
Absolutely. And we're talking about that statement, which we've been citing as well, details of which we'll see some of the traders begin to will. And this is exactly the import of that one-pager in French translated for viewers. And so economic operators and the general population in Burkina Faso, per the statement, have been ordered to ensure the supply of tomatoes to national processing units. Also, the export of fresh tomatoes has been suspended throughout the national territory of Burkina Faso until further notice. The statement also says that consequently, the issuance of special export authorizations is suspended as well. And so for Burkina Faso, if you are to export tomatoes, you are to, amongst many things, to have an export or a special export authorization that has been suspended. Now, for persons, right, who currently have valid export authorization for fresh tomato exports, they have a period of 2 weeks to honor all contract obligations upon the coming into force of this particular statement by the Burkinabe authorities, after which they will cease to be able to export the commodity outside of their jurisdiction. And then they say that after this period, authorizations will be considered null and void with respect to persons who still have existing authorization to export the produce. After 2 weeks, it will become null and void. And in any event, any violation of the said communique is subject to sanctions in accordance with regulations in force, and any case of non-compliance with the provisions of the communique can be reported. In fact, they provide numbers to their citizenry as well to report persons who are exporting the tomatoes outside of Burkina Faso because they say they are engaged in value addition. Hence, all of the tomatoes have to be taken to factories for onward processing and value addition.
Absolutely. Let's check the pulse in our markets now. We'll start off in the Ashanti region, where Ibrahim Abubakar has been visiting some tomato importers and traders generally. Ibrahim, what are you learning from them as far as this latest development is concerned?
Well, Kevin, a very worrying concern for these traders and even the transporters, because we do know that, especially during the lean farming season, we import about 90% of the tomatoes we consume in Ghana from Burkina Faso because we are unable to do all year round farming. So, looking at the immediate consequence for Ghana, they are saying that they are warning of looming shortages and even possible surge in prices if alternative supplies are not secured quickly. Like you rightly mentioned, it's taking immediate effect, even though we have 2-week window for people who have already placed their supply. But the development has also reignited concerns about Ghana's dependence on imported tomatoes. And some stakeholders are even calling for urgent investment in irrigation facility, storage facility, and also local processing to boost domestic production. Because usually when it gets to the seasonal period where because we rely on rainfall, we are able to get more tomatoes. We realize some are even left to rot because we don't have those storage facility. And also, like I said, they are also calling for irrigation facilities so that it will help the farmers be able to do all year round farming, and this will reduce the over-reliance on Burkina Faso. I earlier engaged with some of the traders, or I would say importers, and this is what they have to share with me.
What is basically happening here is the market women are crying, they are lamenting. According to what the woman is saying, they have worked with these people in Burkina Faso for a very long time. And they just woke up one day to hear that the president are all in all, the savior, the protector, the unifier, the messiah, the king of kings, the most loved. Captain Ibrahim Traore asking them not to come to Burkina Faso again because the remaining tomato that they have in Burkina Faso, they want to now process the tomato, and that they are giving 2 weeks notice. And basically it's like ending of this month, the president is saying they don't need them. But Ghana this time, we don't have the dams, we don't have what it takes to produce this tomato. Before we can start seeing fresh tomato again in Ghana, it will be in 6 months' time, which is very bad. And this is their only source of survival. They don't have any other thing to be doing right now for the 6 months to come. And they are saying that the president has failed us because the president hasn't given us down so we can produce. And this time, truly, Ghana, it is a dry season and we cannot produce these things here because we don't have what it takes. Like she said, there are no dams. So the women are practically worried. They are in pain simply because this is what they do to take care of themselves, to take care of their family. And things are going to be difficult. After 2 weeks, what will we be doing? And that's what they are saying, that they have worked for years. They always go to Burkina Faso to bring this. This is their livelihood. This is basically what they do for survival. And this is how they are taking care of their family and their children. Only for them to be told that they can no longer come to Burkina Faso for fresh tomato. So, like, they are pleading. They want something to be done. But it's like All in All has taken a firm decision because he also said he wants to protect the local industry. And now they want to also process the tomato so that they can rather sell the finished goods instead of selling the raw material out to the people. So these women currently in Ghana are not happy because it's like this is their life, this is their everything of theirs. Like looking at 2 weeks being out of work.
A fertile country like Ghana, relying on tomatoes from the dry Sahel of Burkina Faso, that is a national embarrassment. For years, trucks have crossed the borders to feed Ghanaian markets. But now, Burkina Faso has suspended fresh tomato exports, partly because of security risk in the Sahel, and partly because Burkina Faso is now prioritizing its own local processing companies instead of exporting raw tomatoes. Now think about that. A country with far less farmland is building industries around tomatoes, while Ghana imports the raw crop. And when those imports stop, markets in Ghana panic. And this is not about climate, it's not about land, and it's definitely not about farmers. It's about investments, management, and serious planning. Because while Burkina Faso processes its tomatoes and protects its industries, Ghana still struggles to build the system that supports its own farmers. Until that changes, the country will keep importing what it should easily be producing and processing. And that is shameful for a country like Ghana.
And when this tomato incident happened, the Tita, where they said some women from Ghana were traveling there to purchase tomato and they met attacks, we heard some of the comments that came from even the politicians. They were saying that they attacked the women because we invited Captain Ibrahim Traoré into Ghana and we're praising and hailing him. And what do we expect at the end of the day after hailing him? And what did Ghana get? The way some people spoke about this issue, I think this is the right decision that all in all Captain Ibrahim Traoré has taken. This is telling us that as Africans, what we need to be prioritizing isn't what we are fighting after. How can we be moving from one place to the other, borrowing, and we can never feed ourselves? Look at the fertile land that we have in Ghana. Whatever that you throw at any place, it germinates. You go to other places in the Volta region, they farm tomato. We have the Bolaga one that is very nice in the northern part of Ghana. If truly our leaders want to be leaders and not politicians, why not invest heavily into these factories? Before Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was overthrown, we had tomato factory. We were producing everything in Ghana. What happened to that factory? Even rice factory. Is it cocoa? Is it sacks? Is it shoe? Where are they? And these our leaders will continue to be talking about Pan-Africanism, talking about how we Africans must find solution to the African problem, yet we can feed ourselves. The most interesting part is the youth who have the mentality that Burkina-based are not free, but they are independent, they are free, simply because these Burkina-based are living under the rule of a military leader. The person spoke in a Ghanaian language. I would have shared it. And I was so heartbroken to hear a youth of today who claims that he is independent, but not knowing that he rather is a slave, who are feeding themselves, onion, whatever. You depend on them, yet you call yourself a sovereign state. You call yourself independent when you cannot feed yourselves. You depend on these people that you are tagging to be living under a system of military rule. For that matter, they are not free. So what happens to your freedom? What happens to your independence when you depend on these same people? Ghana has a more fertile land. Burkina Faso is a land that is dried. We saw how the leaders in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are bringing everything and making things very easier. How they even went to Iran to get their system where the farmers can even determine when it will be suitable to plant and whatever. Yet Ghanaians are sitting here with their leaders and the democracy they love so much and their freedom, did nothing. The best thing that we had under one leader who left was one village, one dam. And ask me if these things were done. Yet the Ghanaian youth loves this system called democracy. You that is under oppression, you that is not even free, you don't even know that you are not free. And you rather will be pointing a finger. This is how they want us, and this is how they have trained us, and this is what they want us to become. That is why it will be difficult for our freedom, because a lot of us are not ready to be mentally free. We don't know that we are not free because the chains are not longer physical body of us. So because of that, we believe so much that we are rather free. And we need to wake up. How can you be free when you have a fertile land and you cannot produce anything? Why is our leaders not investing so much in agriculture? And they are rather into things that are not beneficial. Look at the IMF conditions they give to our leaders. And we still sit here and believe we are free, we are independent, and still pointing fingers at other people. We have a long way to go. We really have a long way to go. And with what is happening, I think this will give the other leaders the chance to also do something for their citizens. Because when we have reached, it's not good. To the point that we cannot feed ourselves. 90% of the tomato we consume comes from Burkina Faso. And now, we are going to suffer a lot because the prices are already high and it will go high the more. If we are not ready to utilize our land, this is what will happen. And if we are not ready to fight for the system that will give us that freedom, and if we are not ready to learn and understand that we are not free, then I think we'll suffer more than this. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we'll make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world. In Africa, West Africa, in Ghana.